Fresh and Buds.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and I'm joined by a bud today, longtime bud, Mr. Kappolo-The Swiss Prophet. How you doing, Andrea? That's your first name for those of you who don't know. This is Mr. Kappolo. How you doing?
Hello everyone, I'm doing great today. Just long day of work, but ready to work on some videos for Dash, so good it's gonna be a good day. And
Oh yeah.
also I'm happy to be in this podcast with you.
Well, thank you. We're happy to have you. It's a little foreshadow of what we're going to be talking about later. Definitely some Dash. I won't be talking about Dash because honestly, I don't really know the first thing about Dash, but you certainly do. And actually, I would say that was like probably one of the first times we ever really talked was we got paired up in the content creator. Um,
Yes. Was the sealed one.
mm-hmm.
Was Tales of Aria sealed? And I don't remember what hero you played. I remember I played a Briar list that was mediocre sealed pool, but I don't even remember the result. But that's I think the first time we actually spoke.
Yeah, and then we played some CC shortly after that though, and I remember you played Dash against me, and
I don't remember.
yeah, I mean I remember because you really want me, and I was like, okay, well I hate Dash, and that's when my like hatred for Dash started. Probably around the same time my hatred for Prism started. So, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you whomped me in the Tales of Aria sealed tournament, whatever it was. I think I was on Briar as well, but also very mediocre. I think it was the first time I cracked Tales of Aria, so I had no idea what was going on. But yeah, obviously you are a great player. But before we get into the meat of the show, I just want to plug the Discord, which you are a part of, Capolo. This is we
Great
call
community.
ourselves. Yeah, it's a great community. We call ourselves the Buds, obviously, and we do some cool events and stuff like that. We've been trying to do a monthly ultimate pit fight or drunk ultimate pit fight. Obviously, drinking is not required, but it was a lot of fun. You played for the first time last weekend, right?
Yes, and was a blast. Was I played Jenny's What You Need, and it was a really fun deck, like kind of style of group hug, giving people cards and cards in the arsenal, and everybody brought Kai.
Yeah. I was on Caillou as well. I died first, which was kind of to be expected. I kind of built my deck with a bunch of cards that couldn't block, which was not very smart in Ultimate Pit Fight when you have people to the left and right of you trying to attack you. So it was great fun. But yeah, the Discord, it's in the link tree. If you guys are interested, it's a good fun over there. A lot of great people. But let's get into the meat of the show. I want to get the listeners, give them a look into who Capolo is. First of all, let's talk about your background. When did you start playing TCGs? Because I know you've played Magic before Flesh and Blood, but now when did that start? Was there anything before that?
So I played some Magic the Gathering back when I was 6 or 7 with my neighbor. We started playing when we went to like beach resort in the summer. Then the neighbor moved out, so I kind of stopped playing. And then was like a long break. And then once I went to anime convention and I saw these like Japanese magic cards at the time I was studying Japanese. So I just bought them because they looked cool. And then just displayed them at work. And one of my coworkers told me that he plays Magic with his friends like once every month, and he told me to like show up and try it again. And that's when I restarted. Was like in 2013, and since then I became competitive player quite quickly after the first few months of not understanding anything, and I start like going to the GPs and doing all that grind.
Now, when you were grinding, what were the aspirations and what was, I guess, the pinnacle that you reached in Magic the Gathering?
In the beginning, the aspirations were the Pro Tour, then I understood I'm not as good as some of the players, and I kind of like lost the aspiration Pro Tour, was just like playing for fun and playing the best as I could. And I enjoyed playing competitive settings, even though playing for fun. And as far as good results, I think I've like around 8 PTQs, top 8 without a win. And then I got 11th at 1 GP in Legacy.
I mean, those are some impressive finishes. I mean, if they still had a OP system, would you still be playing?
If they did not stop, probably I would still be playing. But as it is right now, and after discovering Flesh and Blood, I feel like I will just go to like big legacy events and maybe some modern ones, but that's about it. Otherwise, just like some drafts for fun.
Now, you mentioned Flesh and Blood, which we both play, and that's how we met. When did Flesh and Blood come into the picture for you? And was this the first like secondary card game you had played, or kind of really got into other than Magic?
As far as paper, yes, I've played some Pokemon only online. I play like several digital card games while playing Magic. But then I think a friend of mine mentioned Flesh and Blood like around almost 2 years ago in the beginning, and I didn't. I was too much into Magic to actually care about another game. And then I think was 2 or 3 weeks before the calling in Vegas, Zach or Drunks, that is a good friend of this podcast, told me to go and try out the intro decks that he bought. And I think we tried the intro decks. I played Prism, he played Levy, I think. And then we played one game of Blitz. Took us more than an hour to finish because we didn't know the rules. Then we decided to. He had a box, so we played like a couple of sealed. And then he mentioned me, "Do you want to go to the calling in Las Vegas to play side events?" Went there, and that was a blast. I bought a couple of cards for Dash because like, I'd already like a bit wanted to play Dash, which it's I thought was like Dash was like the most aggressive deck, so I was like I want to play aggro, so I decided to play Dash, and then I decided to switch and play Dash like mid range control in the end.
Now, so you picked Dash. So Dash is your favorite hero, you'd say?
Favorite play style? I think as far as hero, I really like Katsu,
Okay.
but I haven't played much of Katsu. But I just like I like all the like the ninja lore. I'm a big fan of like Japanese culture, so the
Gotcha. Yeah,
ninjas were like in my mind most of the time. But I feel like the play style of Dash kind of captured me a lot.
that is fair. Now, so you said Dash. You felt that Dash was the most aggressive deck. Would you have, if you had known Katsu had these aggro versions, would you have jumped on the Katsu train at the time?
Maybe I felt in the beginning the Katsu was quite complicated with like the trigger and the combo, remembering which cards combo
Mm-hmm.
with which card, how much resources do you need, and in the beginning was hard because I built a Katsu Blitz deck almost like in the first few weeks I was playing, and I was like so confused of what was going on.
Yeah, the combo stuff had always scared me off in the beginning as well. Now, are you interested in building Katsu now? After I feel like Katsu got some cool cards in EVR.
I did build Katsu for one armory, which I won, and I never triggered the ability to discard and search for a combo card because I didn't know what was in my deck.
That's an interesting thing. Are you allowed to have a list of your combo cards on the side or no? I don't know if that's legal.
I don't think so. I should know that since I'm a level 1 judge, but a lot of the knowledge is already got archived in the back of my head. But I'm pretty sure you cannot have like a piece of paper with information.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I remember in Magic you could have like a sideboard guide, but obviously that's a whole different story because best of three, and this is all best of one. So,
And also, like a sideboard guide in Magic, you can only reference it while sideboarding. You cannot reference it before the game or like during the game.
yeah, true, true. Now you create content. You have a YouTube channel. When did that start?
That's a good question. I don't even remember exactly when it started because I was streaming on Twitch for a long time, since probably like 2015. Then I got invited to play in some sort of content creator like challenges cup that we play like some like popper and some other format in arena. So I decided, and they required to have some videos on YouTube. So I started trying to do content for that, but that was pretty bad, how to edit video. I think I use a different editing program each video because I didn't know what I was doing. And then after that, just watching a lot of Twitch streamers and YouTube content creators. They said you need to like split your content between Twitch and YouTube. So I decided to do some like deck techs or like covering the news and deck guides and strategy tips for Magic Arena. And then that kind of died down. I was not much interested in Arena anymore. And then I discovered Flesh and Blood, and I just wanted to try to make some content for it.
Yeah, and it's you put out some great videos, and I want to talk about one in particular. But I do have one question for you because I am a content creator. You're a content creator. I have a question for you. Do you get a lot of trolls commenting on your videos, and how do you handle them? Because I have a troll that comments on a lot of my videos.
That's me.
It's you. You are the biggest troll, and I mean I appreciate it. I know it's all good fun, but sometimes you get some real trolls out there. Do you get them? I'm
I
gonna
never
actually,
got like.
I'm gonna start actually trolling on your videos. I think I gotta get you
Go ahead.
back.
I need some trolls on my video.
Help
Now,
the
I found
algorithm.
that I found that like Flesh and Blood community is pretty positive overall. I think I had one or two bad contents since it started in September, and they were just slightly hateful and disinformed mainly. But besides that, it's like I feel like every content creator has to deal with that. And since I'm still like pretty small content creator, I don't have to deal with many of them.
Yeah, yeah, and I do agree with you that the Flesh and Blood community is relatively positive, at least in comparison to some other communities out there that I've seen. Um, I got negative comments, and not from you. I know everything that you troll is good fun, but you get some people who are hateful and misinformed, and sometimes they just want to be noticed. Sometimes, and I think that was a huge hurdle for me because I had not really created a ton of content prior to this podcast, and it is interesting, in a world that is so positive, like the Flesh and Blood community, it did feel at the time those negative comments were, I guess, a little more pungent because everything was so good around it. But you know, got over it. Realized like, hey, they hate us because they ain't us, and that is the best way to look at it. And yeah. I mean, unfortunately, there's some jerks out there, but yeah, I just wanted to see your take on the trolls, of the very minimal amount of trolls in the Flesh and Blood community.
Yeah, I had like, as far as I just said, probably two, and I just leave the comments there because I feel like there's no point in deleting them, and they kind of just ridicule themselves. Mainly if like people like read the comments, they see that, so just leave them there and let them be.
Absolutely. And my strategy that I found to work was just respond to them by saying, "Hey, thanks." And usually people will jump on and help defend you. I've found anyway. But let's talk about some content that you've created. So, what kind of videos do you make on YouTube? And then I want to talk about one particular video which has become somewhat of a phenomenon. But other than that video, and I think you know which one I'm talking about, what kind of videos do you like to make about Flesh and Blood?
I think that's also one video that is not in my usual content that I do. And also I have like some gameplay video which, to be honest, I'm not too fond of, because what I want to provide is like some unique information or strategy or deck guides that you cannot find anywhere else. Just trying to help players improve at the game. Because one thing that I feel like it's missing in the Flesh and Blood like content creation in respect to, for example, Magic, is that Flesh and Blood players, especially the competitive one, are like really secretive
Yes.
about strategy and deck lists and what to do. And I kind of don't like that. I just want to, if I have any information, I just want to like share it with everyone if I think it's valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, that's funny that you say that, because two like prominent players had posted a gameplay video, I think this week, which was pretty great. And I don't want to name names because it doesn't matter. It's just kind of like an example. But there were no deck lists provided with the gameplay. And another friend of mine had commented, "It's like, hey, we're the deck list, man." So like, they definitely like to keep it really close to the vest, which is really interesting. It's something I'd never really experienced. We're going to be talking about our deck lists that we're playing as of the beginning of Everfest season in a bit. But I mean, I don't know if people want to steal any tech that I have, they're more than welcome to do it. What are the odds that we're going to play each other ever?
Yeah.
But so let's talk about the video. So Everfest preview season came around. Well, actually, let's start a little bit before then. We were told that Everfest was coming, and it have support for like each class or each hero. It turned out to be each class, not really each hero. As a Levia player, I didn't really get a whole lot of support. So, but at the time, this is like November when this was told to us, and we knew very little about it, other than on the Flesh and Blood website for Tales of Aria and Oldham, there was a blank card for Stalagmite, Bastion of Eisenloft, which is his like legendary shield. And we all kind of said, this card's coming in Everfest. And we all were speculating on what it would do and this and that. And you made a video predicting some cards in Everfest, and tell us a little bit about how that went.
So I feel like the video was quite good. So the overall result of the video is that I had like some decent predictions, some like really wrong predictions. Also, it was recorded even before we knew the Everfest name or that Skull Cap was in there.
Oh, true.
But then we knew that Stalagmite was coming, and I tried to give my own version of Stalagmite, and it was down to the T besides the rarity, because I thought it was not worth a legendary slot with these abilities. But the card was like almost as it was printed, besides some different wording, because I worded the ability as it were a magic card, because I'm still not too used to like the lingo of how to write Flesh and Blood cards.
So for those at home, Bastion of Eisenloft, Stalagmite, is a legendary one-handed shield. It is Elemental Guardian or Ice Guardian, right?
Asgardian, which I
Ice
did get
Guardian.
right.
It's legendary, and basically what it does is it has two defense. It has temper, so it gets a -1 defense counter when it blocks, and then when it gets the second one, you lose it. But when you do block, you give the attacking hero a frostbite token. Now you worded that a little bit differently, and I'm actually just going off memory right now. I don't know if that's exactly how it's worded, but I mean, you more or less got the whole thing right, other than the rarity, right?
Correct. I went for like deduction. Was not the only shield that I made or like I tried to make, but how I did is like, so this is gonna be a shield and stalagmite. Stalagmite is probably ice, so I went for like ice guardian, which I don't think we had like a really specific equipment that has talent and no, I think there are. Yeah, never mind. But yeah, I went for like an ice guardian shield, and
Mm-hmm.
then it needs to be reusable. So first I went to similar to what the other shield does, that pay one resource when you block to block with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to be different, cannot just block. So I decided it's like, okay, you block and then maybe give a frostbite. But then I want it to be not too good, so I added temper to it, and that was the shield.
Yeah, and then so flash forward to the week of January 24th, 2022. Spoiler seasons in full effect for Everfest. And then they spoil Stalagmite, and that it was what it was, and you kind of came on Twitter and was like, "Hey, listen, I got this right." And I feel like when I saw that on Twitter, first of all, I was like, "That's crazy." I think I had messaged you right away, um, and a lot of people, I feel like some people didn't believe you. Some people thought you were an inside man. Some people thought it was a fake video, and they were trying to prove that. It was like, and then most people were like, "Oh my god, this is insane! How did he guess this so correctly?" So what was it like for you? Kind of because you were the topic of conversation for that whole day, maybe 2 days. What was it like for you to kind of see that response?
In the beginning, we saw only like not the official preview, but somebody like leaked it from like Europe, and I thought it's like somebody's like pranking me. They're like trying to make something that is like similar and just like pranking me because it cannot be true that I actually guessed a card correctly. And then like my Twitter like blew up. It's like I got like retweeted by like all the big Flesh and Blood creators and personalities, and it's like it was like a really overwhelming support from the community. And yeah, they called me like inside man. It's like I have like no contact with LSS. I never talk with anyone.
it is
Any
it is funny because like we had been talking and people were saying you're like inside man, you work for LSS, but they didn't give you a spoiler card, so I mean maybe that was their way of giving you a spoiler card, just letting you spoil it 5 months early.
yeah, definitely no spoilers for me or also for you, which is hopefully we're gonna get spoilers soon.
Yeah, next
But
time.
I don't know. I feel like for me it's gonna be hard to get spoiler after this if they actually saw it. I don't even know if any of the LSS people saw it.
Oh, they
Somebody
they definitely saw it. I'm telling, they
just
had to have seen it. I mean, I don't know if they saw it initially. I don't know if they saw the one that you had the video originally, but they definitely saw that you guessed it right.
I don't know, like somebody tagged also James White in it, like in a tweet, but I don't know how much they are active on Twitter.
True, true. I mean, so you're saying that LSS hasn't reached out and they haven't sent you a special version of Stalagmite Bastion of Eisenloft for you yet, right?
No, no contact from them. I was kind of expecting an email of just congratulations, you got it right, just a pat in the back and whatever, but not even like reaching out. But LSS, if you're listening to this, I would love to get a gold foil Stalagmite.
Well, I hope that happens. We'll have to split it though because I want to use that card, and you don't play Guardian ever. Come on.
I
So
have played Guardian.
I
I
know.
That's my main Blitz deck is Guardian, and I won an armory with Guardian. The only time I played Guardian in CC.
Um. So yeah. So they're gonna send you a card, hopefully. Or I mean, hey, listen, it doesn't matter. You got it right. That was awesome. It was pretty. It was pretty incredible. Because I remember all the buds in the Discord were losing their mind, and it was a really fun thing, especially in the wake of like a lot of unofficial leaks and stuff like that, which kind of sucked for other creators. It was kind of cool to see the the rally around you that week, which was it was fun.
That was awesome, great support, and my Twitter was like blowing up. Like look away for like 5 minutes of like 10 notifications, which never happened before. So it was awesome and distracting.
Yeah, I mean the most juice I ever got on Twitter was when I posted that stupid video of Amulet of Ignition the other day. So, hey, listen, take it where you can get it. So, we're gonna move right into the first crack a pack. This is an industry first. The first paper pack we've cracked on the show. I have a pack of Flesh and Blood Everfest, the supplemental
I'm
set.
jealous. I want to open more. Like I really love opening the new paper wrappers. Feels so satisfying opening them.
It really is, and I will say I was worried about the paper wrappers initially, but I think that it is awesome. I think it's so cool. I have them all like flattened out, like because I've opened quite a few boxes at this point. I have them all flattened out, ready for my recycling day, which comes every 2 weeks, so next week, and it's very exciting, and it does feel super good. The only thing that I miss, especially for the podcast, is the sound of the original rappers is gone. That like kind of nostalgic sound. So, but this is the sound of the future, and hopefully, I hope LSS continues to do it. I don't know if they've committed to, but we will see, right? All right, here we go. Actually, it does sound pretty good. Not gonna lie. So, how have you felt about before I get into these cards? Have you felt about Everfest in general so far?
It's been pretty good so far. I feel like every deck got a couple of new tools. Even though I feel like it's kind of similar to like Crucible of War, where you have many cards and out of them, not many are going to be played. If it makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It was. I mean, I guess they had to put some not great commons, but I guess even the commons, a lot of the commons are pushed to the point where they will see play in commoner and stuff like that as that format kind of grows in the next couple years. So the first card out of the pack is Blue Macho Grande. This is a 7 cost, 8 attack, 3 defense, guardian attack action. It has dominate. I like the blue one. The blue one actually has some utility in some maybe more budget guardian builds, but
It's still fine. It's like you probably would play it. It's similar to the Glacial Footsteps that was attacking for one less, and you
mm-hmm.
needed to have Ice Fusion for Dominate, but costed 6. So it's one extra resource with built-in Dominate and an extra damage. So I feel like it's gonna be played maybe more in Blitz than in Constructed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Is the one extra resource, and actually I think it has the same amount. I think Glacial Footsteps is 1098 as well. But either way, is the extra resource worth it over the Ice Fuse for the Dominate?
It's about the same. You still need 3 cards.
Yep, yeah.
It's like either show one or pitch one. And if you pitch one extra, you can like either create like a spare seismic surge token for next turn.
Mm-hmm. Which brings it down to 6 next turn, and then it's all gravy. Yeah, I like Macho Grande. Awesome art. I didn't know they put you on a card, Kappolo.
I'm not that muscular.
Next is a card. Actually, I think is pretty awesome. Unfortunately, it is for a class that I despise. This is Coalescence Mirage. This is the red one. It is 2 for 7 attack, 3 defense. Has Phantasm. However, when it is destroyed, you may put an Illusionist Aura card with cost 0 from your hand into the arena.
I feel like this card is gonna see a good amount of play. There is a Illusionist Aura which escapes me the name. Probably need to look it up. That was quite good. It was a 0 cost Illusionist Aura.
In the new set, they had a whole set
Yes.
of new 0 costs in the new set.
Yes, I don't remember which one. I just like kind of just glanced through Illusionist since I never
think it
played
was
Illusionist.
Shimmers something. I think I have it right next to me. I'm gonna look at it real quick. Shimmers of Silver. The Majestic costs 0, has Spectra. Once per turn effect, whenever you attack with an Illusionist Aura weapon, put a +1 counter on it.
No, I think it's the one that makes lose Phantasm.
Oh yeah. Passing Mirage. Your
Yes.
first Illusionist attack each turn loses and can't gain Phantasm. Yeah, that card's awesome. That's at rare.
Yes, which is gonna be hard to like set up as Illusionist just because your third is gonna end with that since it's not instant and doesn't have go again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can cheat it in with this spell, it's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, and if they can't break it, it's still 2 for 7, which is great. Next is a card we'll be talking about later. Blade Runner. This is the yellow one. It's a 1-cost warrior attack reaction. It has 3 defense. Target one-handed weapon attack gains go again. Your next weapon attack this turn gains +2. So it's 3 on the red and 1 on the blue.
How much is the cost for it?
1.
I think it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty great, and we're gonna talk about. I mean, the spoiler alert: my day one deck is Dorinthia Axes, and I think this is kind of the card that pushes Dory Axes quite a bit. Pretty exciting. I think this card's very powerful, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I kind of forgot it was an attack reaction even when I was building with it. I was like, oh yeah, you play this first and then your next attack is buffed, but it's even better than it's a reaction. So
yeah, because they're gonna bait the block, so they're not gonna give you go again, and then you're just gonna play this. It's kind of like Glint of Quicksilver, but for one-handed weapons.
Yeah, with the buff built in, which is great. But the art, I don't know if you saw the art, Kappolo, but it looks like it's actually out of the Magic set that just came out, Neon Dynasty. It's very, very futuristic. Yeah, which maybe they stole it for the set. And no, I'm kidding. But
maybe somebody did the art for Kamigawa and like didn't get hired by Wizards of the Coast and just sold the art to LSS.
Maybe they were expecting it, and then yeah, that'd be funny. I was like, well, I'll just put it in this card game instead. Next we have a wizard action, Pry. This is the yellow one. It's a 0 cost. Target hero reveals 2 cards from their hand. If Pry is played during an opponent's turn, instead they reveal all cards from their hand. You may choose a card revealed this way. If you do, that hero puts it on the bottom of the deck, then draws a card.
I thought this card was really good in the beginning, just because like in Magic the Gathering was a powerful effect, but then
Mhm.
after discussing with Wizards players, I don't think this card is gonna be seeing any play.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only one that might see play is like the blue one in like a control Icelander deck, maybe. But outside of that, yeah, not a huge fan. Cool art though. Next we have Shrill of Skull Form. This is a Runeblade action, common. This is the blue one. Costs 2. It has 2 attack, 3 defense. If you played or created an aura this turn, it gets +3. I don't think this card's very good. The red one might see play in like commoner.
I think the red card is gonna see play in Constructed too. I've tested against some Viserai like in
Yeah,
the past few weeks, and the red one is actually decent.
I guess 2 for 7. Is that how much it comes in for?
Yes,
Yeah.
and creating auras is pretty trivial.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, definitely. But is there better things they could be playing? Do you think, or is it just good enough?
I think it's good enough. There are gonna be for sure better cards to play and even worse. I like there is a similar one that gives dominate instead of the buff that I
Mm-hmm.
forgot which one is that from Everfest.
Oh, I'm not sure. Not in my hands, so.
I'm really bad with card names. Like I always been bad with card names. I know exactly what the card is, what the card does, but I don't know the name.
Is that one good enough, or nay? The dominate
Oh,
one.
yeah, the dominate one is really good.
Okay, all right. Next we got Veiled Intentions. This is the red version. It's 1 cost is Illusionist Actions. Has 2 defense. The next attack action card you play this turn is Illusionist in addition to its other types, and gains +4 Phantasm. And when this is destroyed, draw a card.
I don't think this is gonna see any play.
No, I wasn't very high on it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's maybe some stuff down the line.
I think we have something similar in Monarch. That did like something similar of buffing and giving Phantasm
Mm-hmm.
without the being destroyed and has not seen any play even in the Herald attack illusionist.
Yeah. Not. I don't think it's what they want to be doing. They got plenty of tools, and that is one that you know won't be really added. Next is
Yes.
Timekeeper's Whim, which is being argued for as the best art in the set. This is the yellow one. It's a 3-costed wizard action, 3 defense. The yellow one deals 4 damage, 4 arcane damage to target hero. If Timekeeper's Whim is played during an opponent's turn, put it on the bottom of your deck. A
I
little
think
underpowered.
yeah, I think you'll never play the yellow one.
No, maybe the
You'll probably play blue and the red one, or just the blue one.
yeah. I think the blue maybe an Icelander. I mean, it's just not making it into like tier 1 Kano decks. I don't think.
Most likely the yellow one, 100% not. The other one, probably not.
Yeah. So we have a foil. It is not a fabled. It is a common. Timidity Point. This is the red one. It's a 1-costed Ranger arrow attack. It has 5 attack, 3 defense. Can only be played from your arsenal. When Timidity Point hits a hero, attacks they control lose and can't gain dominate during their next turn.
Unplayable.
I think it's a little too narrow. Um,
And I guess if original Bravo sees play, maybe you could see them in the sideboard, but I don't think so.
yeah. Unfortunately, but that's okay. We're on to the rares. This is one that I really like, especially against your girl Dash. This is smashing good time. This is the yellow one. It's a 0 cost generic action with 2 defense. The next time an attack action card hits a hero this turn, you may destroy an item they control with cost 2 or less. If Smashing Good Time is played from Arsenal, the next attack action card you play this turn gains +2.
Yeah, this card is good against Dash. I think it's overrated against Dash, but it's still decent. But I think you just want the red one from Arsenal.
Yeah.
The other ones, I feel like they're not enough buff. And also, like, Dash can easily block out 12 damage if needed be.
Yeah, true.
Unless you have a bad hand.
I've been hearing that Briar wanted this card mostly in their sideboard, other than like a lot of the other decks.
I could see Briar, especially Briar can surprise you not playing it in the beginning, like plays some non-attack action, an attack would go again, and you're like forced to block some amount, and then you don't have enough to block the second attack.
Yeah, and it is interesting. It says the next time an attack card hits a hero this turn, so it's kind of got that plunder run ability.
It's the unbanned plunder run.
Yeah. The card you get is the card you destroyed. So, next is Pierce Reality. We didn't get a Majestic or Fabled or Legendary. Fortunately, Pierce Reality is an Illusionist action aura. It's blue. It costs 0, so another one of the 0 ones. Has 2 defense and has Spectra. And the first Illusionist attack action card you play each turn gains +2.
This is the best foil in the set.
The best foil?
Yeah.
Oh, I could see that. It's a really cool art.
I think this will not see much play unless Prism like switches to like full on like aggro version of Prism. I could see it there, but it's just a pump for 2, and then can get easily attacked on the way back. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but also never played much Prism.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. It would take a really aggressive version of Prism to want to play this, but this might be one to look at later as we get new Illusionist heroes and they have different things going on for them. Because 2 a turn is not marginal. So that is our Crack-a-Pack. Now let's get into our day one decks here. First of all, what's the expected meta? I think, first of all, a lot of people are high on Starvo, a.k.a. Bravo Star of the Show. What else do you expect to see out in the meta right now?
I think the decks that got more support, besides like the new Starvo, which a lot of players, like really good competitive players, are high on it. Prism got a lot of tools. Viserai got a lot of insane tools. And I think those are like the 3 main decks that got a lot of support from Everfest. And I feel like Earthbriar can still be a good contender going forward.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Briar still has some potency. We will see if Briar really has enough to take down these like really souped up versions of Bravo or Starvo and Prism. And even I think Viserai is probably the Runeblade deck to play right now. At least based on what I've seen in my personal group. But so that means you are playing Dash, of course, right?
Yes. Dash is like the main hero I played. I tried other heroes, but so far in my experience playing Dash, Prism is a great matchup. Earthbriar is a close but favorable matchup. Viserai was good matchup before, and I think even Viserai got a lot of tools. Actually, Dash got better against Viserai. and Guardian was like 50-50, and I feel like it's gonna be 50-50 still.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about what is going to go into this deck, the Dash deck, because it is a deck that I don't really know a whole lot about. First of all, when you sit down at the table, what are the equipments and weapon you're throwing out there?
For Dash, like the gold standard equipments are the Achilles accelerators as boots. Is some boots that have Arcane Barrier 1,
Mm-hmm.
don't have defense of 0, which is relevant for like T-Bone. There's a new card from Everfest. And then you can destroy it as instant, and if you boost it this turn, you gain an action point.
Which is pretty strong.
Yes, that lets you go wide, lets you attack if you miss on a boost. And if you're not familiar, boosts are like some of Dash's card that when you attack, you banish the top card of your deck. And if it's a Mechanologist card, your attack gains go again.
Gotcha. So that is what you're playing, and so the action points actually comes in handy against Prism, especially the auras. And now, what are the gloves you usually play in Dash? Do they have their own gloves yet, or no?
No, sadly not. I tweeted about it being a bit frustrated since we have 5 different arm contraptions on Mechanologist cards, and we have no arms yet, which is kind of weird because they give like Stalagmite to hold him immediately, but they didn't give us any arms. So before the previous meta, I preferred the Ironhide Gauntlet just because it was a really aggressive meta and I needed to block a good amount. And I had Goliath Gauntlets in the sideboard. Goliath Gauntlets, you sacrifice them, and the next attack that costs 2 or more gains +2, which is good to set up Command and Conquer.
True.
So I dropped the Ironhide, and also since I am expecting some Earthbriar and some Viscerai, I added another piece of Arcane Barrier as the Nurun Gloves, just because the Rosetta Thorn still has 2 arcane damage, so you cannot fully block it with only your boots. And there are some attacks like Vaccine Malice that has 2 arcane barrier stapled to it. So you need the arcane barrier to survive. Then the
And
chest. Go ahead.
oh yeah. I was gonna say the chest Teklo Foundry Heart, right?
Yeah, Teklo Foundry Heart in like I played Dash mid range and it's there to block 3 damage. And you rarely use the ability. It's basically a 2 blocks with Battle Worn, and the ability is that you can pay 1 resource, banish the top 2 cards of your deck, and add 1 resource for each Mechanologist card. And you can only activate if you boosted. But in mid range, you boost rarely. You tend to leave your boost at the end when you're guaranteed to hit a Mechanologist card. So after you cycle through your deck the first time.
Gotcha.
But it's rarely activated because you don't want to, especially late game, you want to keep all of your cards because sometimes it comes down to fatigue and you don't want to waste cards because you have to boost and then you have to exile other 2, so you lose 3 cards if you activate it. So it's mainly there for the block 2.
Yeah,
and
block 2. Yeah, which is nothing to sneeze at. Speaking of block 2, you run Skullcap, or I mean, what's the better option up on the head there?
We have a Mechanologist headpiece that is Visitronic Model 1 or 2. I don't remember. But basically, it's a headpiece that has Arcane Barrier 2, which I do play it in the sideboard only for the Wizard matchup. Just because I don't want to lose to the Wizard matchup. So it's just like 1 sideboard slot for. And then it's a good equipment if you play in aggressive Dash. because I'm not 100% sure what the ability does, but you can sacrifice it, and whenever you dash, or whenever you boost this turn, you can draw a card and put a card on top of your deck, so you can set up your boosts.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Skullcat's probably where you want to be most of the time, but yeah, I could see where that would come in. Now, what did no? You're playing the pistol, right? And is there any?
Yes,
No, yeah.
that is
There's
a worse weapon, a
um.
strictly worse weapon.
Yeah. Now some stuff you've gained from Everfest. What's some stuff that you like out of Everfest that they've kind of helped the deck or changed the deck anyway?
I think the main gain is the dissolution sphere. I think it's correct, or dissipation sphere. Let me check,
I
because
think it's
I always
dissolution.
get the dissolution sphere. And this card is really good. It's an item that sticks around for 2 of your opponent turns. And what it does, if you would take exactly 1 damage, you would take not 0 instead, which is really good against Kodachis. It's really, really good against the Rune Chance from Viserai.
Oh yeah.
It's also really good at surviving breakpoints. For example, Briar used to like to attack with 4 attacks, and you had to commit 2 cards in the past, and now you can fully block with only 1 of your cards, since all the Mechanology's non-item cards block for 3. So let you save your cards in hand so you can have a bigger turn on your swing back.
And T-Bone, you
Then
mentioned T-Bone. This is this was spoiled by our friends over at the Attack Action podcast with a great video. T-Bone seems pretty cool. What is it good against?
I think it's gonna be played against every deck, just the blue version, because you need a lot of blues to have your pistol, induction chambers, and plasma purifier loop going. And it's good at picking off equipments because if you boost the blue one is a 0 cost attack 1 with boost, and if you boosted this combat chain, the opposing hero has had to block with 1 equipment at least. So if they don't, if they have equipments that are non-zero block, they have to block with them. So you remove counters. You can destroy blade break equipments. You need to time it a bit, but I think it's really powerful at picking off some of your opponent equipments.
Yeah, it seems pretty sweet. Yeah, I hadn't thought about just playing the blue because, the blue does just a good enough job of forcing the block. Now, so Dissolution Sphere, T-Bone,
Yeah,
uh,
Signal
Signal
Jammer,
Jammer, yeah.
which I thought was quite good. No, not. I thought it was like average sideboard cards, but good in some matchups. And I think this card is gonna be good only against Wizard, because everybody else can almost play around it.
Mm-hmm.
So in the testing, I have not like Signal Jammer, and Signal Jammer is an item that you and your opponents cannot play more than 1 non-attack action each turn.
Gotcha.
That
That
doesn't stop
shuts them
attack
down for
reactions.
two turns or just one?
Two, 2 turns.
Gotcha.
It's like similar wording to Dissolution Sphere as living. And then there are like other cards that are like okay in the blue version. Like Rotary Ram is just good against bolting because it's a non-attack action, so it's doesn't trigger bolting ability if they charge to
Gotcha.
give +1 to their weapon. And then the rest of the cards are fine but not amazing.
Mostly for Data Doll, it felt like in EVR. Now,
Yeah, Data Doll or Aggro Dash. I think, like, for example, Techlo, Pounder, and Payload would be good in Dash Aggro, but that's a deck that it's really not recommended to play. It can be really powerful, but also you cannot block, because if you block with dash aggro, your turn is gonna be completely useless.
Yeah, dash aggro. It's kind of like a glass cannon kind of deck.
Yeah,
You're all in, but
it's
easily
super fun,
disruptible.
but it's super fun, but you cannot block because otherwise your turn is anemic.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about some good and bad matchups. Bolton, you think is bad. Kano, Prism, good. How do you feel against Guardian again? Which
I
I guess
think the
that's the
match,
biggest one.
I think the matchup was like pretty close. It's like I felt like all the matches I played against Guardian were pretty close. The dominate was the hard part for it,
Mm-hmm.
to like mitigate the damage and like being able to survive the crashes. But I changed a bit my sideboard and added some extra movables. I used to play only the 3 red ones, and now I'm up to I added 2 yellow ones.
Okay. Getting getting a little more defensive. That makes sense. So yeah, that's Dash. Sounds. I mean, I know the deck's good, and I just trash it because it's fun. And
Also, another card I want to bring up from Everfest that could be a good player is the This Runs on Me.
oh,
I haven't
true.
tested too much with it. I don't know how much bad effect the extra card for opponent is, but I've been liking it so far in like slowing down Bolton since it's like our worst matchup. Since if you block with an attack action, the pump doesn't give automatically go again from Bolton. And
Yeah,
also it's like good against like Ninja, but also it's like I want to give them a card for combo, an extra card to find their combo. I'm still not sold about that. I've been testing it a bit, and so far has been good, but not good enough to be 100% in my final deck list.
I see. I see. Yeah, I guess like just for Bolton, like if you thought there was a lot of Bolton running around, you'd probably want to run it. But if you don't feel like Bolton's going to be around, it doesn't matter. Um,
Yeah, we have a really good Bolton player locally, so that's mainly why I'm considering it.
some metagaming right there. Uh, yeah. So yeah, that's Dash. You're the Dash King over here. And you're gonna qualify for the Pro Tour, which actually I didn't talk about in the podcast yet, but the Pro Tour was announced in New Jersey, my home state, which is exciting. So all these pro quests and battle hardened events leading up to my home state Pro Tour. I can't wait. I'm hoping to qualify. Though after talking about my day one deck, my hopes aren't that high. So I was hoping, Capolo, that my day one deck after Everfest was still going to be Levia. Uh, Unfortunately, I don't think she didn't really get anything at all, which was disappointing. But what can you do, right? The only positive thing about Levia right now, I would say, is that Prism is probably going to be pretty popular. But on the other side of that coin, Guardian's going to be popular. So if you want to beat Guardian, I think you're better off going on the Rhinar route. But I decided to build a different deck instead. I'm on Dory Axes. Now, are you familiar with our girl Dorinthia and when she runs axes?
I'm familiar with Dorinthia enough that I am not always sure how to play against her. It's like, so do I block and I take 3 and then you go again, or I block and I take 3 anyway? It's like, it's really hard to play against Dorinthia. I've never seen the Access version. I know a few local players were testing the Sabers version, and one player tested the Access version but didn't like. But I'm not too familiar with the Access version of Dorinthia.
Well,
So
so
explain me.
I took a little bit of a look at what Dorinthia axes would look like. So she's using the axes that Bolton likes to use the Hatchet of Body and Hatchet of Mind. So what they say is it costs 1 to attack. They each have 2 attack. And it says if... Basically, it switches, right? So if the last one had attacked previously that turn, it gets +1. So the first one comes in for 2, and then the right one, the other one will come in for 3. And then if you're able to do it again, that one will come in, the left one will come in for 3. So that's the idea with Dorinthia, because she lets you attack with one of them twice. So you at the base, you want to come in for 2, 3, and 3 on a turn. Now, you need to get the go again, which when Blade Runner, which is a card we talked about in our Cracker Pack, was spoiled, it looked like it's a great card for axes because they're one-handed weapons, gives them a buff, and gives them go again. But the main thing that I like for Dorinthia axes is you get to play Spillblood, as opposed to when you're playing with swords. Spillblood is the Majestic from Monarch, which gives +2 and dominate to your axes this turn, which can set up for a huge turn. So you're coming in hopefully 3 times with your axes, all dominated with the buff. Pretty sweet. And another really cool card that I saw from Everfest that I wanted to play with was Oath of Steel. This is the 0 cost Majestic that says whenever you attack with a weapon, put a +1 counter on it. And then at the end of the turn, you lose all the counters. So, unfortunate thing about that card is counterproductive with Dawnblade, since all the counters that you would put in Dawnblade would go away, which is kind of annoying. But seems sweet with sabers, seems sweet with axes. Actually, the first thing I thought was like, oh wow, Oath of Steel is going to get slotted into Saber's Bolton right away, as like some extra juice on the go off turn, which I don't know. I haven't seen a whole lot of lists on the Bolton Sabers deck, but it seems like it could get popped in there. It remains to be seen if it's good enough. I was pretty high on it initially. I've come down on it quite a bit, but I do like it in this deck. So that's what I'm doing. I'm playing Oath of Steel from Everfest. I'm playing Blade Runner. Another card that was huge for Warrior in general was Helm of Sharp Eye, which they finally got a headpiece. You don't have to play Dull Cap or Skull Cap anymore. This has 1 Battle-Worn defense, and you can pop it for 1 resource. If your weapon has twice the amount of its base, and then you reveal the top card of your deck, you may play it this combat chain. So it has to be an attack reaction, unfortunately. But with some cards that manipulate the top of your deck, you can play Fate for Scenes, which I have in the sideboard right now, probably going to be pushed into the main deck. You have Stroke of Foresight, which you can pop something back onto the top of the deck to set up a really cool Helm of Sharp Eye turn. And yeah, that's kind of like what the deck's doing. I'll drop a list, and we'll have some form of our list in the show notes. But also something interesting, I was testing this deck against a friend of the show, Drew Cordell. He was on Starvo, and I was playing Valiant Dynamo, which is a good equipment. I think a lot of players opt for the bolters, the refraction bolters instead. But in this deck, you're pretty reliably attacking with 2 weapons. I think over the course of the whole game, I blocked like 9 damage with the Dynamo, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the bolters are better against using Dawnblade, since you need a way to give go again if you don't have it. While the weapon, if you have 2 one-handed weapons, you can use the other one is better.
Yeah, and so since I'm playing axes, the Courage of the Bladehold isn't good in this deck. So you play the tunic, the spring tunic, which helps you have better resource availability on the turns that you want to really hit hard. And then you just play Bracers. Bracers is just a fine card to play. But I'm not I'm not sure how this deck will play in terms of matchups right now. I'm still testing it. It seemed pretty 50-50 against Starvo, or at least the version that I had played against, because that deck can be many different versions. But is this something you, as a Dash player, would sit down against and be worried?
I would need more experience against it. I don't think Dash should be worried if you have good amount of experience and know which list they are on. But there are so many like different attack reactions that do so many different things, and you need to like, trying to figure out. It's like a mind reading game.
Yeah. I
I
think
don't know if you
that
played much modern in Magic, or if you remember like the Infect deck. It's like,
oh
do I
yeah.
bolt the creature and then it gets pumped and I take more, or do I like and by bolting it's like instead of here you're blocking, or you just take the small amount of damage and not having them have the reprise.
Yeah, yeah. So it is tough. I know that the main I guess thing against this kind of strategy is if you know the lines well, you can pretty adequately play against it. But I think that's the kind of cool thing with showing up with the axes. It throws a little bit of a wrench in it. So I'm excited to play around with it. We'll see if this is what I land on, but I want to share a list with you guys. And yeah, but I think that's going to do it for the show. Thank you again, Mr. Kappolo, for coming on. And please plug all your stuff that you need to plug, which I will put in the show notes too, but for the people out there.
I think the two main ways is Twitter. I'm like pretty active on Twitter, and it's like at Kappolo, Kappolo, and also my YouTube is like the same username. But yeah, just like follow me on Twitter, and then I'll post. So most of the times I post videos. Sometimes I forget, but if you follow me there, that's the main place where I'm active. And if you want to contact me, also I have a Discord where it's starting to get a bit more active since the new cards get spoiled, and we're talking a bit about Dash Decklists. So if you're interested in Dash, just message me on Twitter and I'll get you the invite in my Discord.
Cool. And you guys can continue to follow me on Twitter at freshbudspod. The YouTube's still popping off. I'm actually going to film a Fresh 5 after this, I think. And I've been having fun with those. And you can email the show, freshbudspod@gmail.com. And join the Discord if you're interested. And let's talk about some food. You
like
are
food.
very critical of my food opinions, Kappolo. So let's see what you got for us. Talk about some food that you enjoy eating. Maybe something from your motherland, your home country. What are you talking about today?
Let's talk about food from my home country of Switzerland. So Switzerland's mainly like three different linguistic regions, and each part has different dishes. So let's do one dish for each linguistic part.
Okay.
So for the French part is mainly where most of the cheese is being produced, and you're like all familiar with like Gruyere and Emmental, even though Emmental is part of a region that is two languages, but Emmental is a German name. But yeah, for the cheese, like fondue is like one of the big winter dishes. I think everybody's familiar with some delicious cheese fondue.
Oh yes. I mean, my mouth's watering now. I know you're upset that some of these Swiss cheeses didn't make it to my top 5 cheeses, but I do like all cheese.
Also, like the problem that I have with a fondue in the US that some of the cheeses are really hard or impossible to find
Mm-hmm.
for the fondue, and there's like so many different cheeses combination for fondue, and each like canton that is like kind of small state has their own specialty. Even each Alp, like where the produced cheese, have their own signature like cheese blend for their fondue. So it's also interesting to try out the different ones.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when we have the Swiss Pro Tour, we're going to go out there. We're going to have all that.
Yeah. Then for the German speaking side, I think I want to mention the Zürcher Schnetzels. That's basically like small pieces cut veal in a sauce that is cream and mushroom,
Ooh, that sounds
and
amazing.
that's really good. And sometimes sort of like mashed potatoes or like regular potatoes or rice, depending which restaurant you go to. But yeah, that's like really good. It's like one of the dishes I probably miss the most.
It
That I
sounds.
never ask my parents to cook when I go back.
It sounds like the perfect winter meal. It feels like that would hit the spot when it's cold out.
Yeah, I feel like most of like Swiss like cuisine is winter related.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Even
Wow.
though the summer is even warmer than what it is in San Diego because it's like really hot and humid, but in the summer it's just like eat like light food. That's probably what I want to mention about the area where I'm from, the Italian speaking part,
Mm-hmm.
where specializes a bit more on like cured meats and harder paste cheese, and that's like really good cured meats and really good like hard paste meats as cheese, which is in the French part is softer the cheese.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you think that is? I mean, I guess when you think of like an Italian cheese, like a Parmigiano Reggiano or something like that, it's always not always hard. I guess like there's mozzarella that's just really soft, but I feel like you don't get a lot of those hard cheeses in France, right?
Yeah, I think it's just like I'm like completely theorizing. I could be like bullshitting, so I have no clue. But for like the my area, there is a lot of like small like farms that are up in the Alps, like far away, and so like producing like maybe like fresh cheese is kind of hard to transport. Whether you can like produce like hard cheese, and they're usually that in season for like 6 to 12 months before like taking it to down to the valley to sell. So maybe it's that reason. I have no idea. I'm just
Maybe. Well, it is that reason for us, but that all sounds delicious. And even though I just ate dinner, I am hungry once again. But Mr. Capolo, thank you again for coming on.
thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. And I will see, or you guys will hear me next week. See you.